much, I'm now pleased to welcome an AI pioneer who will share her thoughts about accelerated digitalization and the new superhumans. Fortune in Time has labeled her as a top talent on social engagement through technology. Ladies and gentlemen, Martinez.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we get the clocker to 0, please? It's great to be here because for the last 18 months, I've been constantly asked about what's going to happen to people. AI is a huge force coming into society, and almost now every CEO is concerned about the human capital and how it's going to react to it. When I left banking and I moved to a massive telco, they gave me the internet. It was something that nobody understood what it was in 1997. And I used to go and sit in front of CEOs and I used to say, "Hi, I come from the internet." And they were like, "Who's this crazy lady?" And these days, when I jump on stage, I tend to greet people saying, "Hi, I come from the future." And some people are like, "Whoa, what's happening?" Well, I come from the future because the future is now. And I live in the future because for 20 years, I have been pioneering many technologies, and I have the pleasure now of working in a deep tech fund where massively creative scientists are creating the future biomaterials, the future cancer research, the everything future. So I actually live in the future for real. So what I'm going to do for you in the next half hour is to show you how not to think about AI and digitalization in negative terms, because they have a bad name, like rock and roll in the 1970s. They have a bad name. And they shouldn't. AI is a force for good. So in 2011, Mark Andreessen, who was the father of the browsers and is currently a very active venture capitalist, he wrote an article for the Wall Street Journal. And he wrote, "Software is eating the world." Anybody heard that one? What he meant was that if you're a corporation and you just start thinking about digitalization, you're going to be left behind. In 2011, only a small percentage of companies reacted to that message, and the rest were in disbelief. And I know this because I kept on sitting with CEOs and having conversations. They were like, "This is not for us. Our business is about X, Y, and Z." And 2018 is the point of no return. And I'll show you why is the point of no return. First of all, we are powering and creating progress faster than we've done in the 100 years of the 20th century, because the more advanced a society is, the more innovative that a company is, it grows at a higher multiple. You are more advanced, faster. And you are faster because innovation and progress are powered by exponential velocity. It's not linear velocity, it's exponential. And what happens to exponential velocity is the velocity you use to power rockets, to achieve vertical velocity, to actually leave gravity behind. So when in 2011, Mark said, "Software is eating the world," we were probably at number 7. And in 2018, we are all the way almost vertical. Why that is like that is because if you multiply 4 times by 4 by itself is 16, and 16 times by itself is 256, and 256 by itself is 65,000. You understand now? It's vertical. It's vertical. So it cannot be stopped, and it cannot be fought. It's going to press enormously into companies and into people to adapt themselves to all that is changing. Now, not everything comes from Silicon Valley. Actually, why we are so advanced today has to do with computational power. It is thanks to these massive high-performance computing machines that new materials have been discovered, that new processes, that scientific endeavors have taken a massive jump. The reason why IBM bought the Weather Channel, it wasn't because they were diverting business. It's because they want Watson to learn all those algorithms that you need using HPC to forecast weather. That's the reason. And in only 2 years, the market is going to go nuts when exascale machines begin to come. This is the first one. There are 3 other machines in the US, and there is one in Europe called Mare Nostrum. What these machines can do is they can process 1 billion calculations per second. And who is using these machines? The automotive industry. The automotive industry is actually creating new models in fluid mechanics, in crash dynamics. They want to make the cars lighter so that they create less fossil combustion, and they also can sustain crashes in a more flexible way. The food industry uses exascale because they want to start creating better correlations between nutrition and the food people eat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everything is going to go and take a huge jump because of computing power. The other force of nature is data. Everybody thinks it's AI, but actually data is what fuels AI. Without data, AI is nothing. And data used to be invisible because data used to be numbers. But now data is everywhere because data can be images. Data can be words. This is the business of Facebook. This is my business. I do NLP, natural language processing. I analyze words and the meanings. And AI is not something new that has landed from another planet. It is the natural evolution of us teaching machines to think and discover new realities. Now, in the 1950s, that was called data analytics or scenario planning. Scenario planning came from the military, actually. And it went in the 60s into social planning. Where do we need to build homes for people? And then it moved into the oil industry. The best scenario planning is owned by Shell, oil companies. And then here comes Jeff Bezos with something called collaborative filtering. People who bought that book also bought this other book. And that was the beginning of profiling humans and extracting knowledge from behavior. And that's when I built my own AI. But where data is going today is teaching machines to perform tasks, bearing in mind a variety of things. Should I do this? Is this good for us? Can I understand what should never happen? And we're started to teach machines to actually have biological thinking. Now, what everybody called personalization, that's people who bought that book also bought this other one. That's how it looks like. It's not personalization. It's actually you're influencing human beings. Look, these people bought that book. How about you? Do you want to be part of that brethren? It was a false personalization. You're like, oh, wow, I guess I have to buy it. And now, where are we now? Well, now the machine is telling us, you should buy that thing. Actually, Alexa, I call Alexa the toy for the lazy fingers people, because when you use Alexa for searches, the search results are different from the search results that you get when you're actually keying on a real keyboard. And it's because Alexa has been programmed to sell you Amazon white label products. Now Alexa laughs hysterically in the night as well, I'm sure you guys know. And Amazon still hasn't fixed it, which is scarier than the fact that Alexa laughs. Now, when I explain AI, I try to say, look, AI is just maths. You use machine learning, you use maths. You teach the machine to achieve certain tasks. Where there's really a revolution is in deep learning. Now, many colleagues of mine, and I use deep learning as well, are deploying deep learning practices because deep learning, in many instances, surpasses the human capability. For example, the world of cancer discovery is being revolutionized thanks to deep learning. These machines can see cancers and detect cancers from blood samples so fast and so accurately. Thank God for that. It's a force for good in the medical world. Where it's not that great is when you try to create chatbots with it, when you try to second guess, when you try to infer profiling of humans. Because the hardest thing to do in deep learning is to actually tell the machine when it has learned and achieved something successfully. Because successfully is an abstract term. Successfully, for me, means something very different to another scientist programming the same machine. And this is why deep learning has blasted in the face of many companies when they tried to let the machine achieve things, and it ended up being racist, biased, and a complete chaos. It's because of that function. So I look at it in a different angle. It is your competitiveness. Do you want to be a company developing deep learning? Make your quality standards as high as you can. Make it for the goodness of the people. Don't do what other companies are doing, and now finally in the year of the fake news they've been found out. You know, Google actually serves you more and more content on YouTube because they want to serve you more ads. They are detecting who has addictive personalities versus who doesn't, so that they put ads about going to Vegas to you, where I never see that. Exactly. So your choice is, do I want to be a force for good? And the competitiveness is going to be yes or no. That is the future. But what gets me the most excited is what's going to happen to us. And what's going to happen to us is that our brain is going to change at physical level. Our brain will change at physical level because our brain is in constant evolution. It's only that only up until the last 10 years, we've been able to see, thanks to new technologies, how the brain functions. So a new field, cognitive neuroscience, appeared 10 years ago. Before it was just neuroscience, the physical state of the brain. And there are no two brains. There are three brains. The newest brain in evolution is our neocortex. This is the brain we use to learn. This is the brain you use when you read a book about how to be a better leader, or how to cook Thai food, or exactly, you're listening to me with your neocortex. Is the quantifiable brain, the pay attention brain. And inside of it, there is size of a lemon. There is a second brain, the limbic brain. This is the mammalian brain. What all mammals have is where all the chemicals happen, where the emotions, where the feelings. Yes, your dog and your cat have feelings. Who did you think? That they don't? They only operate on these. And then the oldest brain, the reptilian brain, the brain of the dinosaurs, is the one at the back. That is your intuition. That is your instinct. Why? That's all the DNA that you have inherited all the way back to the dinosaurs. This is why you drive with your cerebellum. You drive with the cerebellum because you're doing other things in the car with your other brains. Now, the business of the brain is to create thoughts and memories. When neurons fire, they tend to wire together. And that is an image that only recently we've been able to spot. How two neurons have connected with each other. Would you like to see it for real? Okay. Here we go. So This is when a new thought is created. And this is why I say that the brain is going to change physically, because when you die and your brain is opened in a lab and is compared to your grandfather, there'll be two different brains because of all the stuff we're going to be adapting ourselves to and learning in the future. Now, for thoughts to become memories, we need to engage the other two brains. Otherwise, we would be reading lots of books about being leaders and then going into work and being a complete horror to everybody. So when your synaptic nerves are connected and they have wired together, you need to put it into action. You need to embody what you learn. When you embody what you learn and you engage the body, then you make it your own, and that's when the chemicals are released. You experience your own transformation. You decide, tomorrow I'm going to get fit and I'm going to the gym. It's something that emerges from within you, and then you put it into practice and eventually becomes a behavior that is second to you. So it is the memories that change you. That's why I ask you, how was it to run the Paris Marathon? And you remember how it felt to cross the line, who was with you, what did that person said. You remember everything with such cryptic ability to describe it. And yet I ask you, what did you have for dinner the night before? And you're like, what? Because it didn't become a memory. Because it didn't become a memory. So in this new future, where we're going to have to constantly learn newer and newer things, how is our brain going to embody all that and we change into our new persona of the future today? Well, this is the reality. Machines will be working next to us because we're very good at certain things, but the machines are catching up and they're very good at other things. But there is a small section here in purple. It's called tacit knowledge. That is knowledge that you accumulate over time, doing something, excelling at it, becoming the best at it, and until it gets to a point in which you can even explain it to other people, how you do what you do, that intuition you have, where you're the best. Serena Williams is not the #1 champion because she practices 20 hours on a court. It's because she's been doing it for a long time, because she now probably has eyes in the back of her head. Because it cannot be put into words, it cannot be put into a software program. That's why I cannot program tacit knowledge into a machine. And this is where humans will excel and operate, at having tacit knowledge. Whereas the rest of the heavy lifting potentially could be done by machines, not everything. So our new society is not going to be at solving problems process-oriented and in quantifiable ways. It's going to do it in creative ways. And why it's hard for people like me, and I'm sure for yourselves as well, in describing what are the new jobs of the future, it's really hard to describe because we are not yet in that future. But one of the things that happen to companies is the minute you bring AI as a tool, new roles emerge in that department, roles that didn't exist before. You only notice when you see a machine and a human working together, and you're like, you know what, it would be great that we could get someone to actually, exactly, that's a new job. That's a new job. And where we are embarking ourselves is into a more digital experience. AR used to be how to catch a Pokemon, remember? But now it's going to turn our existence into something that I call compositing. Compositing comes from the world of special effects in film. The composite artist receives all the work that everybody has done in production, so the real shoots in the location, and then the real digital shots that somebody did on a computer, and you merge them together, and you light them, and you color them, and then that frame almost looks real. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Yeah? Now, when we do the next step, which is upload our consciousness into a machine where we can only use the eyes, what we're doing is negating all our other senses. Now, the difference between the two is that AR expands our minds and VR begins to create corrupted files because we are suppressing other sensorial input. But where you see AR today, that helmet you can buy and use it in rigs, oil rigs, engineering projects, because it works like this. You get the helmet, you get that watch, and all of a sudden, as an engineer, you can walk around a site without any tablets. Imagine what it is to go in a place where you need a helmet. It's like the terrain, you have to look where you're looking, and then you need your hands. You need your hands to do stuff. So it can recognize faulty pieces. It can recognize a million things, and it's all based on sensors and lenses and then data into the cloud. So something real that you can buy. Where is AI going these days? It's going into mixed reality. This is Magiclip. Magiclip is based in Florida. It's raised $2 billion in capital. And it's all thanks to that lens. It's the most approximate rendering of how the human eye mixes everything. And how does it work? Well, it works like that. This is not a special effects. It works like that. You don't have a computer anymore. You can call up stuff in front of you and have multiple windows open in front of you on an empty desk where there is not a computer. I wonder what Apple is going to sell in 5 years. Not too many machines. Exactly. Is this the end of hardware? So, what about chatbots? Well, chatbots are very hard to program because we've been trying to program them for a large number of years, and the hardest thing to program is a human conversation. So, retrieval chatbots like Siri that have been pre-programmed to actually answer something specific, they're not working anymore. Generative, meaning having a real conversation, extremely hard. But what if we were going to be creative? Like this lady, when her friend died, she grabbed all of his text messages, and now she can talk to him or pretend she's talking to him because his answers are as if he was alive. And when this thing emerged, she went to Silicon Valley and created Replica. Now, Replica, you soon start using it a lot because it feels so nice. Yeah, it feels so nice because Replica clones you. It learns to talk to you by copying who you are and how you answer things. It's a clone of yourself. They used to put people in the loony bin back then if you talk to yourself. Remember? I'm talking to myself. Put it in the van. Off to see the mental doctor. So when I look at chatbots, it's like when the Wright brothers were trying to fly and there was a lot of crazy people having, things with wings jumping out of buildings. There's a lot going on, nothing yet clear. But where you need to focus is what's going to happen to the people. And what's going to happen to the people, and especially in the workplace, is that we're going to have to fight for non-digital approaches. And what is that? We're going to have to fix the oxygen problem in cities. That's the real problem of the smart cities of the future. And this is an even bigger one. Mental health is the new cancer. Mental health. alienation in digital worlds and in massive, massive urban centers. Who's going to fix that problem? Or cities that will share all their data with you, like Boston is doing now, so that you know absolutely everything. Information overload can be overwhelming. But it's also a nice way to engage the community. If you see a pothole, tell the Public Works office, and they soon come and fix it. It's a lovely app in Boston. Everybody uses it. There's a huge sense of community. So collaborations. And of course, the fact that every single gadget that you will own will have a sensor and will start sending data back to the manufacturer as to how it's being used and how the energy is consumed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is the end of the customer review. Tell us what you think of our product. No, the product is going to tell them. The product is going to tell them. So we will look for a life that connects our other senses. And where are we? I'm going to talk about Gen Z, an area of my research. And this is what drives these people that will soon come into the workplace. Kintsukuroi, your humanity. This is who I am. These are my feelings. This is what this generation is driven. Because, like Alex explained earlier, because of the sense of purpose. And nature is going to be a massive destination for humans because we're going to find our mental health and our healing derived from nature. And where does it come from? Because many people want life to stop. It's too fast. This is why this movement is enormously important across many, many sectors. And this is Ikigai on steroids. It's not anymore about finding your purpose. What this generation wonders is, why is life worth living? You see the change and the evolution from, I want to find my purpose, to, is this work crazy? What am I doing here? The existentialist version of Ikigai, reasons for existing and living. Is it worth all of this craziness? This is what this generation is thinking. So, my thoughts for you. Hire all kinds of people. My teams contain scientists, but also psychologists, designers, artists. I need all the human breadth of skills. Start thinking about centennials. They want to work. They want internships. They don't want to go into the academic world. They want the workplace. Start thinking about them, internships, whatever you can think of engaging them. Robots are machines. Kick the tires. Don't be afraid. Like the ASM machine, I programmed it. I'm not afraid of it. It's not going to take over your life and kill you. Read the labels. You'll live longer. That's my advice. Trust yourself, not what other people tell you. And I know that Elon Musk and Jeff are building rockets because apparently Mars is the new place to buy real estate for the summer. I like the Earth. I like the Earth. I want to fight for our planet, the animals. This is where we need to preserve, because I don't want to be in that horrible planet where there's like storms. Did you see the astronaut, Matt Damon? Who wants to live there? And most importantly, breathe. It's going to be all right. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Inma. Brilliant. Thank you.